So, hey, it's Deborah E. Johnson, and I'm back. Thank you so much for coming to my channel if this is your first time, or welcome back if you've been here before. And we're talking today again about the theme, as we usually do, Tell of His Goodness. And so today we're doing the series, Tell of His Goodness series, and we're doing the books of the Bible. And today we're in 1 Samuel. And so in 1 Samuel, you'll see that all kinds of interesting things are happening. We get the story of Samuel, who has been birthed by his mother, who couldn't originally have children, but then God blesses her. Eli sees her in prayer, and he thinks that she's drunk, but she's not drunk. She says, "No, I'm not a woman of evil behavior. I am pouring my soul out to the Lord because I am barren and I want to have a child." And Eli says, "No worries. This time next year," my vernacular, no worries. This time, the season from now, next year, you will bear a child. And she does actually bear a son, and she calls him Samuel. And then after weaning Samuel, she promises, she keeps her word, and she does exactly what she says. And she takes Samuel and she allows him to go and live in the temple, which he does for all of his life. Well, for his growing up years, he is at the temple. And so he is there. Even as a young child, he begins to hear from the Lord. He gets a word from the Lord. And if you know the story a little bit, you'll know that God kept calling him. And he wasn't originally sure of the voice of the Lord, right? But then Eli, the priest, says, "Wait, if he calls you again, say your servant hears." And so Samuel grows up to know the Lord and gives prophecy about the Lord. And all of his words come true. That's one of the interesting things I do like about the testimony of Samuel. God says Samuel, he never let Samuel's words fall to the ground. They always came true. And then, of course, at some point, the Israelites start to ask for a king like the other nations. And so they get the king. In spite of Samuel's warning that you get a king, it's not God, it's a human king. You're going to have all kinds of issues, troubles. He's going to take your children away from you. He's going to make them work for him. You're going to constantly have to be paying tribute. But they didn't care. They said, "We want a king like the other nations around us." And so they got a king. Further on in the book of 1 Samuel, you'll see that Saul gets picked to be the first king. And he is a good king at first, but then he gets heady and proud. And then he breaks God's covenant rules. And so then he gets taken away from the kingship. And eventually David gets introduced to the story. David is slated to become the new king. And of course, Saul is jealous. And so he's chasing David for many years. Well, there's more to the story, but by the time it ends, of course, Samuel has died by the end of the book, and we get to see other things happen as the story goes on. Please come back and be with me as we talk more and more about the books of the Bible. And remember that we're talking about God's goodness. And so we see the goodness of the Lord, I'd say, especially through Samuel, and how God allows Hannah to, first of all, have Samuel when she could not. And then we see the goodness of the Lord to allow David not to get killed by Saul, as Saul has become mad and jealous and wants to take David off the planet. And so we get to see instances of God's goodness. I'm not sure I really count it as God's goodness that they get a king, especially because while we might say, well, God gave them what they wanted, that turned out to be a bad thing for the children of Israel. What do you think? Not too sure. So we see God's goodness again through Samuel being born. We see God's goodness again through David not being killed by Saul. And we look to think of other ways that God is good. Drop a line in the comments box about other ways you might see how God is good in the book of 1 Samuel. And then I'm going to ask you, as I often do, how has God been good to you? What did God give you? Something that you really, really wanted, and He gave it to you. He gave you what you wanted, and it was actually a good thing on top of it. So please share that with me. I'd certainly like to hear it. If there's anything else you want me to talk about, make sure you leave a comment in the box below, and I'd appreciate it. And remember, this is Deborah E. Johnson, where I am telling of His goodness. I want you to tell of His goodness too. Think of what He's done for you. Think of how He's taken care of you. Be the ambassador for Christ and tell of His goodness. And if you're not ready to be the ambassador for Christ, keep coming back here so I can give you stories and encouragement and just allow you to think about over and over again how God has been good to you. I'm sure if I keep, kind of dropping these like nuggets in your brain, something will come to you and you'll be saying, "Oh yes, that's how I can share how God's been good to me." Please make sure you come back and be with me. This is Deborah E. Johnson. Please like, subscribe, do share. And again, we'll be talking about God and His goodness. Thanks. Bye.